Stacked.
Are you there?
Yeah, brother, I'm here.
All right, good, man. Glad. I didn't think that this equipment worked. We hadn't had no podcast this week.
Yeah,
and this would being the only one. It's kind of unnormal for us.
Yeah, but it was worth it. You got to go up and have some fun up north and do a little bit of things you haven't done before. And we spent some time on the river down here, and we gave Monday a break with Memorial Day. So.
Yeah, when with the planning of everything, I kind of fucked up there and didn't plan one. Well, we planned one for Monday and then forgot that it was Memorial Day, and I know that our guest probably had some stuff going on, so we're gonna link back up with him on Monday, so you will actually be able to hear him. And then obviously just the world collides. We had some things happen here at home, and so we kind of had to push a couple things off, and now we're back at it.
Yeah, it's all right, man. Come holidays, I hope people are out having fun, doing things, playing on the river, getting out in the water, enjoying, hanging out in the woods, whatever they want to do on a holiday as opposed to sitting in their car or listening to us. As much as I want them listening to us, I hope they're out doing something better.
I'll tell you this is, I wish that I could have stayed up north a little bit longer. For you that don't know or haven't seen yet, I spent 3 days in the North Woods of Maine doing some moose shed hunting, which was some of the coolest times of my life. I will say that. I say that about every trip that I take, just so you guys already know. But
each time you go out, you're doing something fucking cool. So
it's something new. But it was fun. So we got to hit in the North Woods. There actually is a YouTube video on our YouTube of our shed hunt up there in the North Woods. So you guys can go and check that out at the Outdoor Drive podcast on YouTube and kind of see what we actually did. Also, some more positive things coming from this holiday weekend. We just shipped out a metric shit ton of Outdoor Drive podcast stickers. So they got shipped out and they should be arriving any day now. I shipped them out Wednesday. So they should be starting to arrive in people's houses. So, but if anybody hasn't had one or hasn't got on the mailing list for them, just do us a solid, send us a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I will make sure to get one shipped out to you. Not very many left, but we will be doing another run, and we will be having them for sale soon. Also, to go along with that, our T-shirts, What Drives You Outdoor T-shirts on Bonfire, that still is running. So the campaign is still up and running, so you can buy our T-shirts there on Bonfire. If you need the link, also just message me, message Steven, look on our Facebook page, Instagram. We'll get you the link one way or another if you guys want to join in on that and get an Outdoor Drive T-shirt.
For sure. One other thing, when you guys get these stickers, shoot us a message, shoot us a picture of where you guys put them, what you do with them, and we'll kick that back out. It's going to be really cool to see how you guys want to represent that.
Yeah, tag us in it. Make sure you tag us in it on your story, on Instagram, on Facebook. We definitely want to see it. We'll share it with others also. Yeah. So please make sure that you do so. We definitely want to see where you put them, whether it's on your cooler, whether it's on your mugs, whether it's on your car. We want to see it. So send it to us, guys. We definitely want to see where you're putting these bad boys.
So mine's going straight on the kayak. We're going to pimp that down the river all week.
Well, you can't put yours on your big one on the kayak.
No. The big one's going on the car, but
right,
we're going to be rocking one out on the kayak on the water.
Okay. I'm definitely going to I'll send down a couple little ones to you also. I didn't send yours yet. Yours didn't hit the mail. I forgot.
No, that's all right.
I fucked up on that one.
No, other people got priority here.
No,
Let them get theirs.
it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
It's one of, when you work for the company, the people get the stuff before you.
I guess that's how it goes, huh?
Yeah, that's the story I'm going to stick to.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hold on, Trev. It sounds like we got some news for the cruise coming up. Let's give it a listen.
Hey everyone, Mike here with some news for your cruise. With the pandemic in full swing, we're seeing a lot more people getting the opportunity to spend a lot more time in the outdoors, which is fantastic as long as you're doing it right. And here in Massachusetts, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Environmental police were doing plainclothes enforcement along the Boston waterfront on May 18th and observed numerous striped bass fishing violations, including possession limit violations, minimum size violations, and illegal possession of river herring. The officers actually issued nearly $2,500 in fees and confiscated 15 striped bass. Unfortunately, I think that the fines don't fit the crime these days and could be a little higher, especially with what we're seeing with the changes in the regulations here along the East Coast. But there's always a silver lining, and the bass that were confiscated were stored properly overnight and were donated to a Boston homeless shelter. So that's fantastic. And also, this time of year, foraging season is also in full swing. And with the increased interest and people spending more time outdoors, it results in some, misidentification of wild edibles, maybe more so this year. And the Poison Center in Portland, Maine has seen a sharp increase in poison in the spring, specifically associated with the misidentification of a ramp lookalike known as false hellebore. False hellebore can resemble ramps when they're young, but they won't have that characteristic onion and garlic smell that a ramp would. The Poison Center actually serves Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and usually has only, has 0 to 8 cases of false hellebore poisoning per year. This year, they're already up to 25, and most of that was in May alone. And 22 alone were in Vermont, with 20 of those requiring hospital attention, 11 of those requiring the patients to be admitted, and 7 patients actually needed critical care for the poisoning. So it comes down to know your edibles, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do your research. Talk to your friends that have been doing it a long time. I myself have pulled from Trev's knowledge before, and it's just be safe out there, everyone. Moving on, most of us, at least out here on the East Coast, don't have a lot of opportunity locally for big game lotteries or earning preference points. And on the East Coast, a lot of times when you think of that, you think of moose lotteries, or you think of out west with mule deer, elk, sheep, some of the larger animals. Well, lo and behold, there's actually another big game species here in the East that might interest some of you, and that is alligators. South Carolina alligator hunting season starts September 12th this year, but the application period for a tag is underway right now. It started May 1st, and it goes through June 15th, and it's actually only a cost of about $10. And any unsuccessful hunter who does not get a tag will actually earn a preference point. So when an applying hunter has goes through the process, they have a choice of 4 management units to pick from, and you have to order those in your preference. If you are selected for a tag, it's only good for the management unit you're selected for, not any of the other ones. And for anyone that is lucky enough to get drawn for a tag, they will need to purchase their tag before the end of the season on October 10th, or they will actually forfeit any preference points that they've accumulated to this point. So, but another great opportunity here on the East Coast. And our last bit of news for now sends us to Jackson, Wyoming, where the Wyoming Game and Fish Department has released a plan to bring native cutthroat trout back to Game Creek in Jackson Hole, which is one of a few streams in the Upper Snake River watershed that has been completely taken over by non-native brook trout. Weird to think of here in the Northeast. Native brook trout are kind of a staple. I myself grew up fishing them in little creeks up in Vermont and here in Connecticut. But the Wyoming Game and Fish Department plans to use a fish poison called rotenone to remove all the brook trout from Game Creek. The process is supposed to start in early summer this year and be repeated again in 2021 with the hopes to be able to stock Game Creek with cutthroat trout fingerlings and eggs in the future in an effort to reestablish spawning habitat, spawning in the creek. So that's a tough one to hear, when we think of, the brook trout, but out there they outcompete and they're non-native, and hopefully this plan will bring back a native fishery that we can enjoy for years to come. So with that, if there's any listeners out there that have some news that they'd like to share, feel free to send anything along to me on Facebook or Instagram, just Mike Salter on Facebook, or bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram, and I'll be glad to share. With that, take care.
Well, there's a lot of information we didn't have before, so take that into account and put that into your pocket to pay attention to. A lot of things changing, a lot of things going on. Mike, thanks for providing that. We really appreciate it. So jumping back into what we had going on, Trev, catch us up. What have you been up to?
But yeah, no, it was a great week. I'll tell you, Memorial Day, we're back fishing. Both me and Steven are back fishing. I'll let him tell about his. I've been out fluke fishing, flounder fishing, blue fishing. We did the shed hunt. We got 7 sheds in 3 days that we're up there. Thanks to Rich over at mainmooseantlers.com. If you guys want to check them out with dog chews or antlers, go and check them out. mainmooseantlers.com. You can buy all your antler dog chews needs there. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had the time that we had, because he really pinpointed us into a lot of directions, and we got to learn a lot about the Northwoods and able to collect up a bunch of sheds. So like I said, go check that out on our YouTube page. For fishing wise, we've been really pounding it out. Things are kind of just on the slow beginning here. A couple of keeper fluke showing up. Like I said, we got some bluefish, some striped bass, a lot of smaller ones. No, we have not gotten into the big girls yet. That's normally not until the end of this month, beginning of the next. So what do you got going on the good old Shenandoah down there in Virginia, Steve?
Big thing right now is we're fighting the rainfall. We've been getting a lot of these leftover rainstorms coming up out of the south, and it's really got the river levels fluctuating, the color levels in the river kind of day to day. Memorial Day weekend, we got out Saturday. The river was way up. We were at basically 4,000 gallons per second running through the river. So it was fast. It was muddy. Not a lot going on, but it was a really good time to float because you weren't hitting riffles. Water levels were above all the rocks. The rapids were really good. But the fishing sucked because, the smallmouth don't care for it. The river was cold. I think we were at like 62 degrees. And now, looking outside, it is gorgeous. We hit up in the almost 80 today. The water this morning was finally down. We were at 2,500 gallons per second, which basically means it's a nice, even float. Not a lot of rocks popping through, but that sweet spot is still probably a day or two away. The water's clearing, so we're losing that murky, muddy crud, and it's starting to clear back out, and that's what you want for the smallmouth. We did hit 70 degrees in the water this morning, so that really should get these mid-spawn, post-spawn
70
smallmouth.
Degrees?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Shenandoah is probably one of the warmest rivers I've ever seen in my life. we warm up quick. It's sandstone bottoms around here, and it's like fishing in a swimming pool sometimes. But that 70-degree mark is really what makes these smallmouth start popping. So we're looking forward to tomorrow afternoon getting back out and getting some lines in the water and trying to work these fish right off of the nest. Hopefully a lot of them have already popped. They've already post-spawn. And if that happens...
You guys are already having bass spawn?
Yeah. Right now we're, from what we saw the last trip out, a lot of them were on the nest, real protective, so putting a salamander right on the nest is a really good way to go about it. Just try to get those fish to aggressively strike in a protective manner. But I think here in the next week or two, we're really going to start seeing things moving off nests.
Wow.
It's a lot warmer down here than it is up there in CT.
Yeah, so. No, of course. Hey, listen, I've been out of the freshwater game for a long time, man. Like we're working in, 50-degree water over 70-degree water. So like the water I'm fishing is just cracking 50. Obviously it's salt, but totally different game. So, and I've been out of the freshwater game for a while, so I don't even know what it is, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're almost to that sweet spot. We really, I don't see the good smallie fish in here post spawn until early June usually. Late May is, you still fight a lot of them on the nest, and that's really got to be your tactic. But right now it's just kind of that you got to find the fish that have moved off or try to play the ones that are still on the nest, and it makes it a pain in the ass because multiple poles in a kayak, and you only got a couple of flips per section as you float by, makes it difficult. But at the end of the day, it's still a good time. The river's flowing smooth, and I can't complain because even if we don't catch fish, a day out on the river in the sun, that's a pretty good day in my book.
Absolutely. That's awesome, Steve, man. It's good to hear what the hell's going on down there. I'm waiting for this big target muskie, trophy muskie that you're going to catch this summer. I can't wait to see those. Yeah,
the perfect time is rolling out, so we're going to start pushing the muskie probably June and July and try to get them in that perfect water temperature. They don't call it the fish of 1,000 casts for no reason.
Oh, we have those too.
They are in there, and you got to work them. You got to be patient, and it's going to be definitely a lot of time on a John boat. But that's the goal. Is we're going to try to pull up one of those 60-inch muskies.
Nice, man. That's awesome. It definitely seems like everybody's kind of heating up and things are kind of starting to get underway. I know even for here, man, our black sea bass season just opened. So that's kind of one of my favorite target fish. And hopefully we're just waiting for the middle of the month to come so we can start doing that here. But our Connecticut water opens, but our New York, that's where a lot of my numbers are. So just waiting for that, man. It's just around the corner, my friend. And our turkey season is kind of coming to the end. We have until the end of the week here. I went down scouting, trying to find some birds today. Went and hit the call, and the birds literally tucked their feathers and went the other way. So my turkey season is pretty much
the birds
done and over with. Yeah, I'm over it, man. I did get the chance today to get out and play around with my new bow, which I'm super excited about, dude. The thing is an absolute tack driver. Probably, I don't know. I think it's the best thing that they've come out with since they've been in business in my eyes. I thought the Synergy was where it's at from Elite, but this Cure, by far the best shooting bow I've ever shot in my entire life. As far as the Elite goes, I'm very happy with it. So we got that thing all tuned in, ready to rock and roll. And yeah, dude, super pumped about it.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. I can't wait to see what happens in the future. But it was really interesting watching you paper tune the Cure as opposed to the Ember. Having that ability to shift your cam lean and everything. I mean, it was like one or two shots and you were on the money.
It's crazy.
Going back to a bow that doesn't have that technology and the amount of adjustments and changes and shots that it took to get it right. And don't get me wrong, the Ember is an amazing bow. I've got one sitting right here and it's incredible. But that set technology is insane.
Yeah, I mean, going from the conventional type bow back to this new set technology is it's kind of changed the world when it comes to the paper tuning thing. And I've never, like I said, man, I'm a brat when it comes to the archery world because I have friends that are in the realm of it and they normally help me out. I just say, hey, Gary, I need help with this, or hey, Mark, I need help with that. And they just help me and they just do it. And I've never really had to do it on my own. So with this whole COVID thing, I'm not able to go down to the shops and do that. I was there for a minimal time and they were able to tie in, my peep sight and put the rest on properly and everything like that for me. And then I had to go and paper tune it. And
honestly, I'm glad you had to kind of dive right in head first. And kind of, I sent you a few diagrams and kind of walked you through some stuff as we were doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're doing it now because now you have a better understanding and it's going to make you that much more versatile.
Oh, it's definitely, and it's one of those things, man. And honestly, and for everybody listening here, if you haven't done it, it's not that hard. It really, there's a lot of avenues. Like I have Steven, that's my avenue. That's my YouTube. So I can just ask Steve, where to go and what to do. But honestly, it's not that hard. It's something that can be done at home and it's especially with the set technology. But on other conventional bows, it's not that hard. You can do it, and you don't need a bow shop.
It's 100% achievable at home with very minimal tools. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of get in there, educate yourself, and do it.
And learn. I mean, it's not.
And that's the thing is, you do it and you adjust and you realize, okay, I screwed up. Why did I screw up? And you go, oh, okay, because I went the wrong way, or
right.
I went too far. And you start realizing that when you start tuning these things, they're micro adjustments. You're talking 30 seconds of an inch when you make an adjustment.
Yeah, no, have a big tear on one side and it's a small movement, which is kind of crazy to me, but hey, it was definitely badass. And if anyone has any questions or concerns or anything like that when doing anything, reach out to us. Don't be afraid. Message us, text us, whatever you got to do. Facebook, Instagram. We're more than willing to sit down and give you a hand. We don't mind talking to anybody and talking people through it, or we'll put you in the direction of the right thing, whether it comes to fishing, hunting, trapping, anything. You have a question about the outdoors, we're here for you guys. So just make sure to do so.
If we don't know, we'll put you on someone who does know. If we do know, we'll do everything we can to share that knowledge.
Absolutely. So we have a great network of people that we can definitely point you into the right direction of. But if you guys can do us one favor that we ask, please go over to our YouTube page, subscribe to YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't already, please go on there and give us a review. Preferably a 5-star review. Don't be a dick and give us a 1-star review. But
if that's how you feel, do it.
That's fine.
There is one hater out there that is going out of his way to lowball us on everything.
Well, we know I have a pretty good clue as to where they come from. I think it's the same dickhead that told me I should tag the bird that I shot at and missed. Probably. But that's besides the point.
But at the end of the day, if he's listening to this and hears this, then hey, that's a win.
That's right. We won't make it through without haters, but if you guys could just go and give us a star review and on iTunes. If not, just the word of mouth is always great, guys. Subscribe to our stuff and just help us show a little bit of love back. We'd greatly appreciate it.
And we don't ask these things just because we're not trying to become famous or YouTube famous or Insta famous or any of that. We actually have a goal behind it. When we hit a certain number, we have got something huge we are going to give away. So
for sure,
that's the drive behind this.
I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about it, but yes, that is the drive behind it, and is to give this special something away, and it's huge. It's not little, guys. It's a big thing, and you'll have the chance to hunt with us, and it's something else.
And so it's not just a cheap hunt.
No,
it is a full-fledged, once-in-a-lifetime type hunt for a lot of people.
And with that, and I'll explain it to you guys too. Our goal with doing this and the podcast, man, is just to get the word to be spread. To work together here, and with you spreading the word of the podcast and liking and sharing and subscribing and all of this, it gets us out there and gets our word of what the reason why you guys listen to us to other people who are looking for us. So with you sharing and subscribing and so on and so forth, we'll get that out. We just, it's not about being famous. I could care less, man. I'll do this podcast, whether one person's listening to us or 10 million people are listening to us. I will still podcast because I have the passion and the love for it. I don't care about,
for sure.
I'm not here for the love or the likes, as I said in the podcast.
But you had to go there.
Of course I did. But I would still podcast no matter what. I would still be on social media. I would still be in your face, doing the things that I do every single day. And I think Kaitlyn, who is our guest here on the podcast, she hits that nail right on the head. And it's really something that we strive for too, man. The love, the passion, the brotherhood. And I'd hate to say it, but the greater good. We don't do this for any other reason than that. But so if you guys could do that would be, next to none. That would mean the world to us, man. That's all we ask. But speaking of love and thanks, we probably should thank the right people.
Yeah, let's get some business out of the way.
Because I guess they don't want to hear us crazy men. They want to hear good old Kaitlyn. So that's why they're here, right?
Of course.
So first off, let me thank Nor'easter Game Calls. Nor'easter Game Calls, get them in close. Check them out, nor'eastergamecalls.com. Get your turkey pot calls, your crow calls, your owl calls, your grunt calls. Speaking of, it is almost deer season. Now it is time to think about deer season. You should think about getting the new Evolution Series grunt tube from Nor'easter Game Calls. So check them out, get them in close. Also, Wild Edge, WildEdgeInc.com. Go and check them out. The leader in mobile hunting. You can get your step ladder, your saddles, your aiders, your swaders, your naders, your ropes, your rope men, you name it. You can get it. They're running a sale right now. Go and check them out. WildEdgeInc.com. Speaking of sales, Wicked Twisted Bowstrings. Check them out. WickedTwistedBowstrings.com. Use promo code OutdoorDrive10. Save yourself 10%. Also, she's always running sales, so make sure to check them out on WickedTwistedBowstrings.com and see what else she's got going on. I tell you this, and I just heard about this, and good old Steve Mardick, who's a friend and a supporter and great mountain man. He does bitch about a lot, and I will call him out on that, but that will be after in 2 seconds. He wrote to me the other day asking about Trader Jan's and their new bowstrings. They have these new bowstrings called Bloodlines. Steve, have you heard about these?
I have.
And you don't have to wax. They're lifetime full of waxing. So I'm excited to check those out on the new Cure and the new Ember this year.
You bet.
And get a set of those. So check them out, Wicked Twisted Bowstrings. And the thing I was going to call Steven out on, I did not forget, was he got mad at us, and I didn't tell you this, that we need to make a Mountain Man version of the Outdoor Drive podcast t-shirt because his stupid beard is too long and you can't read the Outdoor Drive. So he had messaged me and he said, there's something wrong with the t-shirt. And he sends a picture, and it's that. And I thought there was actually something wrong with the t-shirt, and it was just his beard. And I said, well, if you cut it, there won't be a problem. So good old Steve. Can't get enough of him. Also, I want to thank Scott over at Broadside Camo, broadsidecamo.com. What is the promo on that one, Steve?
I believe that one is Outdoor Drive.
Outdoor Drive.
Capital O, capital D.
And what do they get with that one?
So utilize that promo code, and when you make a purchase of over $45, you're going to get a free item to match your order.
So you can get a pair of gloves, masks, so on and so forth. Go and check out the new Ascender series. He just came out with the Ascender sweatshirt, which is actually pretty badass for the early season. So go and check them out, broadsidecamo.com. Also, huge thanks and support from Death Wish Coffee. Fueled by Death, the world's strongest coffee. They're right out in New York City. fueled by death. And Deathcast with Amazing Jeff. Use the promo code OutdoorDrive10. Save yourself 10% off the world's strongest coffee, the cold brews, the K-Cups, the beans, the ground, you name it, they got it. They always got cool mugs and stuff, so go and check them out over there at deathwishcoffee.com. Also, we want to thank the Hunter site, the algorithm for your hunting season. The huntersite.com is a place to be. It's like a journal, man. It's the greatest thing in the world. They got a free version now coming out. They just came out with some new things. You'll hear from them. I think June 8th, I think we have him scheduled to release. So you'll get to hear all about it from Bryce Stone. So go and check him out over at huntersite.com. And last but not least, my favorite tall, big old ginger, Gary Hall, D&M Custom Arrows, dnmcustomarrows.com. Go and check him out. Get yourself some custom fletchings, custom wraps, you name it. He makes it. Check him out on Instagram, Facebook, and also on his website. So,
well, you are forgetting one.
Who'd I forget?
And a very important one coming into deer season.
What's that?
Because without him, we can't live wild.
Oh, I didn't forget him. He was second.
Oh, I know. I just want to reinforce that. Because deer season's coming, and I'm getting stoked, and I can't wait to start getting back in the tree.
It was kind of funny is that you're saying that, because actually today I was thinking about taking some steps and going and setting a pre-step actually where I shot my big buck this year. So
yeah, I've been scouting out a few places. In fact, I was actually looking at a preset for when you get down here, because that damn color phase will not leave my yard.
Yeah, when is opening down there, man?
Opening is the first weekend of October for archery, bear, turkey, and deer. So
I don't want to mess up your opening weekend, but I might.
I fully intend for you to have your ass down here opening weekend to whack the sucker, because we did answer an age-old question in a way that people don't normally answer it, and that's, does a bear shit in the wood? And the answer is no. It shits in my backyard next to my deck after it crawled onto the deck to dig through my frickin' barbecuer.
That's awesome.
It opened the grill and got to hang out and checked out everything around there. And we got up, and sure enough, it bailed ass off the grill, took a big shit in the yard, and then hauled ass. So he's waiting for you.
That's awesome. Can't wait, man. I hope I stick and cut the Zeus loose on him.
So that's why I reiterate, it's time to live wild. Let's do it. All right. That being said, our guest today definitely lives wild, and that's the lifestyle she sticks with. So what do you think? Let's get her on. All right. We're back on the phone with Kaitlyn Maus. How are you, Kaitlyn?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I mean, we've been talking about it since ATA show, so it was nice. And I know you've been struggling with getting the turkey on the ground, and you finally did so.
Yes, it's literally been the longest turkey season of my life, but it worked out, so it's all good.
Why don't we turn this key, get this drive underway? Why don't you explain to everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
All right. Well, my name is Kaitlyn Maus, and I obviously love to hunt, and I film, and I do a lot of public land hunting, and, just get out there, kind of get after it. And I am originally from Pennsylvania, but I moved I'm living in Kansas now, but I moved to Missouri for college, and I am working in KC, so I kind of just stayed out here. I really love it, and the whitetail hunting is pretty awesome, so it's like the perfect place for me to be. So now you're living in the world of the giants. Oh, yeah.
I hear there's a 150 behind every tree.
Maybe not every tree, but like every other tree.
Well, it's Kansas. There's only like 20 trees out there.
Right. Exactly. No, I wish it was like, I think that's more Iowa. But
yeah, I think you're right.
It's pretty great hunting out here. I wouldn't say 150 all the time, but it's pretty awesome.
So what are the bonuses of being a resident of Kansas then at that point?
I'm like I said, I'm working in KC, so it was like, okay, do I live on the Missouri side or Kansas side? And Kansas is a draw state, so I was like, okay, it just makes sense for me to be on this side because then I have residency here, and then I can also hunt Missouri as well. So it kind of worked out that way.
That's awesome. So you don't have to worry about the draw for Kansas. You actually get a tag automatically.
So nice.
Oh, that must be so nice. Oh, so why don't you take us through your turkey season? Because I know you had a lot of struggles and you had a little turkey tour and you traveled a couple different states. So why don't you go over a couple the states that you did go into and how it kind of played out for you?
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, it was literally struggle doesn't even define it. It was so hard. So I planned to do this tour. I like to travel and do a bunch of different states every year, but with COVID, it just made sense because I wasn't working. And so I was like, well, I have all this time to do it. I might as well try to hit up a couple different states and try to make something out of it. My initial plan was just to film everything and try to make like a video per state that I did, which realistically I didn't expect to kill a turkey in every state, but I didn't think it would be as quite as hard as what it was. But I started in Missouri, and then I went to Arkansas, then I went to Illinois, and then I finished in Michigan. And I mean, it was, I don't even know how to explain it. Like the birds this year, they just overall were just super timid. They were not very responsive to calls. I mean, I didn't even hear a single gobble when I was in Arkansas. And so like hunting them was just so difficult because I almost didn't even know what to do because it was like, it didn't matter if I got super aggressive with calling and decoys or even just like hanging back and not doing any of that. Like it didn't matter what I did. It was difficult. I couldn't get them close. And I did have opportunities and I saw a bunch of birds, but they just overall were so disinterested in anything that I had thrown at them. So it was very tough. And I did manage to get one in Michigan, which it was pretty unconventional. I was sitting in the blind and I had 3 toms come out and we tried doing a little bit of calling just to see if they were interested. And literally like the second we started calling, they beelined it like across the field away from us. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, at this point it was the end of the season pretty much and I had nothing to lose. And I was like, okay, I feel like I can sneak up on these birds or at least get close. So got out of the blind, pretty much backtracked, went through the timber that was like surrounding the field, went the whole way out around and was literally like crawling, belly crawling and, just ever so slowly, like peeking up, trying to see where they were at. And I crawled within like 40 yards of them. And then I got behind this tree, pretty much just let them feed like right to me. And at 10 yards, I managed to get a shot. And literally I was so excited. Like I couldn't even believe it came together because I hunted so hard for like over a month straight. So just to have it like come together was so crazy to me. And it was awesome. So.
And we were all rooting for you. We were in your corner, like, all right, Kaitlyn gonna get one. Is Kaitlyn? We were just like waiting. We're like, literally, get it.
Literally almost every day, people are like, are you serious? You didn't get one yet? And I'm like, guys, I can't even explain to you how difficult. Like, I was deer hunting them at one point, like just sitting in spots that I thought they might come by or like that I was seeing them on different days, just hoping they would walk by. But like, even that was just not working. Like, I mean, it did not matter. I do not claim to be the greatest turkey hunter. I'm definitely way better at deer hunting, but like, I was like, okay, I am not this bad. Like something's up. Like, this is so weird. It's such a weird year. And I mean, it did not matter what I did, but I mean, it came together super weird, but I mean, I made it happen. So it was pretty awesome.
So, well, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So you paired up for that last hunt with a pretty unique fella to do some hunting with. And I kind of want to point out that I'm almost disappointed that he got the post about your kill out before you did.
Yeah. because it was like such a like crazy moment for me, I wanted to just kind of do like a teaser. Like whenever I shoot something, I do like this little teaser photo of like a little blood on a feather or whatever. So I didn't even realize he posted it until like, I don't even know how long later, probably hours later. And I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, it was fine. Like I didn't care, but yeah, everybody was like on my stuff. Like, oh my God, did you get one? Like we can't tell, like we think you did, or did you miss or what? So like, it was like funny that he had it up the whole time and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, I was scrolling through and I see his post and he goes, I'm so excited that we were able to get this done for her, in a picture you popped up. And I went, wait a minute. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So that's when I messaged you. I was like, hey man, congrats, that's awesome. And you hadn't even posted it yet.
Yeah,
so
I know. It's all good.
No,
I was so happy. I didn't even care.
No, that's really good. Yeah, we're happy for you. That was incredible.
Yeah, like I said, it was seriously such a weird year. And I mean, everyone I talked to, they were like, yeah, we're struggling too. So it was, I don't know, just overall just weird.
So what was like the biggest struggle throughout the whole entire tour of when you were out turkey hunting?
Oh gosh. Well, it kind of, I mean, each state was a little bit different, I guess you could say. So Missouri, I had birds going, but they were on private, would not come over. Down in Arkansas, I didn't hear a single gobble. Now, granted, I only hunted 2 days, but like it was rainy, like the conditions were just kind of and I don't know if there just weren't birds in the area or they just were not gobbling. And then Illinois and Michigan, I had a lot of action with birds. Like I saw a lot, but they just would not come in. Like they calling, they were not interested in whatsoever. So it was just really hard to like actually turkey hunt. Like I was honestly deer hunting them at one point because it was like any calling or any decoys, like they just wanted nothing to do with. So I had to literally like sit in spots that I thought they would come through and hope that one would come by. And even that was like tough. So I would say just like they were so timid this year was probably like the biggest like hurdle that I had.
Do you think there was like a reasoning for it? Like, because I know like across the board, and obviously there was a lot of other people that have been turkey hunting in different states and had the same exact problem. Is there anything that you think might have made them that way?
I mean, I honestly I don't know. I mean, I would say the weather might have had something to do with it. I think we had just overall a pretty mild winter. So I don't know if the timing was just off. Because I mean, I did have days where there were birds that were going crazy, you know, so I can't say that they weren't hot, but they just like wouldn't commit. And for that, I really honestly don't know. Like, I really don't know.
Like henned up, like they would come out of the tree and be quiet, or.
I mean, some of them are henned up, but then it was like I'd see like groups of like 3 to 4 toms just like hanging out together, or a tom and like 3 jakes, like they had no interest in hens. Like they just were just feeding or doing their own thing, like just not gobbling. So I don't know. It was just so weird. I mean, some of them are henned up, but I mean, others, it was just like they had no interest in anything. So it was just so tough.
It was definitely a crazy year, because like we did Virginia, and for some reason down there, like when we had gotten there, it had been 80 degrees for a week before, and
yeah,
it was the same thing. It was just so tough. I mean, things were just like either like it had just like clicked and the birds were just doing their thing and henned up, or they just like you're saying, just had no interest.
Yeah,
and it's.
I mean, go ahead.
No, it just seemed like, so then when I had come back to Connecticut, things were kind of crazy, but the birds were hot, but you had to be in their bubble. I mean, they didn't like want to go out of their way to commit to you. Like you couldn't call a bird from a couple 100 yards. Like you had to get in their bubble and kind of get them to persuade them to do what you wanted them to do.
Yeah, I definitely had the same thing. Like, and it's weird because, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, there's going to be so many people out, you know, hunting public this year simply because of, you know, a lot of people are off work with the virus and everything, which I totally like. I feel like that might have had a factor in some hunting. But I mean, like I said, I hunted like both public and private. So I did get on birds that were not pressured whatsoever, and they acted the same way. So it is interesting to me. Like, I really don't know if it's just a weird year where maybe, the season just didn't line up with, their breeding or what it was, but it just seemed like every other day was something different. So it was very interesting.
It was definitely a humble pie year of definitely working really hard and trying to figure out different patterns and because turkeys were just doing turkey things.
Yep. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. You think you got them figured out and you don't.
Yeah. Well, that's just hunting in general, whether it's turkey hunting or deer hunting.
Yep, for sure.
It's never a written script, and they always don't follow it. And it's good to hear that other states, they were having the same exact problems, because it seemed like for us, like, we're like, oh, this, like Virginia, this sucks, it sucks. And then another season would open in another state and it would be the same exact thing. So it seems like with you going from, a bunch of different state to state, and you were having the same exact problems.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, like, I had people on Instagram, like, telling me, oh yeah, I'm having the same issue here or whatever. And I don't know. It was just a weird year. But totally, I mean, it's all good. Like, it worked out. I did get a bird. It was a little unconventional, but I mean, putting all that time and effort into it, like, it was really sweet to, like, actually have it come together. So I can't complain.
That's nuts. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that, like, you whether conventional or non-conventional, like, the turkeys don't play fair, so why should you? Like, you gotta go.
Oh yeah, that's like I said. Like, at that point, I only had about a week left to hunt. Like, just totally. So I was like, I have nothing to lose at this point. Like, if I sneak up and they spook, it is what it is. Like, I'm no worse off. So to have it come together, I mean, it was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so did you shoot yours with the bow, or was it with the gun?
No, I was with a gun. So I started off, okay, so Missouri, I hunted with a gun because I was like, all right, I want to just, like, get one out of the way. Well, then obviously that didn't work out. So then that was Brittany's gun, and I only have a bow out here. So Arkansas and Illinois, I bow hunted. And then I started off with the bow up in Michigan. And I did have some opportunities at some birds, but they were behind some stuff or they were too far out. So, like, with the bow, it just was not working. So I was like, all right, like, halfway through, I decided I'm going to just use the gun. Cause at this point, like, if I get an opportunity, I want to have, like, guaranteed shot. So, which I don't care. Like, obviously I want one with a bow, but I mean, I'm just as happy taking one with a gun. So I didn't care at all at that point. So.
No, I mean, and sometimes you just got to take out the gun and you just got to make it happen. I mean, it's nice to get them with a bow and it's a bonus, but you almost have to you got to punch a tag before you can start getting picky.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It means exactly the same, and it's just as much of a challenge whether it's with a gun or with a bow anyways, in my eyes.
I mean, yeah, like, I didn't work any different. Like, I worked just as hard with the gun. So I mean, I have obviously no shame in that. So I'm totally happy with it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, that was like me last year. I went and I did it all with the bow. And then this year I missed twice with the bow. And then I just had to pull out the gun just so I could fill a tag. Cause it was one of those, it's a struggle. It's never easy. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it seems like for everybody, 2020 season has been that way.
Yep.
For sure.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So what's your big plans in Kansas? I mean, I know that now you're living there and being able to, hunt there as a native or a resident. Do you have any big plans for this upcoming deer season?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, I didn't really get to scout a whole heck of a lot yet, but I mean, I like to hunt public, so that's kind of just going to be my focus is, scouting a lot this summer and trying to find a place that I feel is going to be worthwhile going to this fall and just trying to dissect it and kind of dive in, similar to what I did to Missouri. I'm probably going to start my season off in Missouri because there's like one particular buck that I have his sheds from, and I'm like he's going to be mid 140s this year, I think. And for public, I'm like stoked if I can get even if I can see this deer in person. So I'm probably going to start there. And then the rest of my, after that is going to be my focus is going to be Kansas. But I'm excited just to start getting out there and just dissecting it and trying to find a good spot. So that's what I'm up to.
Now, when it comes to your public land hunting, are you hunting from a saddle? Are you hunting from a tree stand? Are you hunting from ground blind? What's some of your tactics?
I mean, it's always situational, but up until now, I've just been I have pretty much just scouted as I've hunted. I do a lot of hunting on the ground, and then once I feel really secure about a spot, then I'll hang a stand. But this year, I'm going to be doing a lot of saddle hunting, I think. It's the first year I'm doing it, but I'm honestly looking forward to it because there's so many times in the past where I'm like, okay, I like this tree today, but I really want to be over here, tomorrow or whatever. So the mobility factor, I'm really looking forward to that because I could have used that so many times in the past. So I think I'm really going to do a lot of saddle hunting this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, but we'll see. It's always situational.
Absolutely.
You're going to love it. It's probably the most versatile way I've ever hunted.
Yeah.
Last year was my first year in a saddle, and I have a hard time convincing myself to sit in a solid stand afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be different if I had my own property, and I could hang stands and, run cameras and dissect it super well. But, when I go into new places that I have never seen before, it's okay, well, I don't want to just go and lug a stand in there and lug my sticks out there and, do all that and then maybe not like it or want to move it or whatever. So
exactly.
Just the mobility of it, I'm just so excited for.
And that's a great thing with saddle hunting. I mean, you're not picking your spot. I mean, you're not picking a tree, you're picking your spot. So you can literally get in any tree. And that was one thing that definitely that attracted me to the whole saddle hunting game, because there's a lot of areas that I don't know how it is in the Midwest, but as you would know from the eastern side, a lot of swampland and a lot of smaller trees that you probably wouldn't put a stand in, but you sure as hell you would definitely put a saddle in, because it's just you and me, I'm a bigger guy, so getting into some smaller trees, you kind of get a little leery on it. But I've literally cut my tree size in half just being in a saddle over a regular tree. So and it definitely puts you in those areas that you may not have been able to hunt with a regular stand. So
yeah, I mean, so even last year, the buck that I shot in Missouri, I mean, the story with the bad shot and everything, but the tree that I was in, there were so many limbs that were just in my way. And I wanted to be in that spot, but that tree was just inconvenient. So I feel if I would have had a saddle, it would have went down so much differently, because I could have, moved 3 trees over and been totally fine, but I just literally couldn't hang a stand in it. So it was just something like that would have just been perfect. And so I'm excited for it this year.
Speaking of the Missouri buck, I was going to ask you about that, and I know the story, but everyone else doesn't. So why don't you just share it for everybody?
Yeah, please fill us in.
That's a struggle that a lot of people, may go through becoming, getting into the sport, or being in the sport, and might have to go through something like that. And you had the willpower that nobody else. I know I wouldn't have searched that hard. Your drive was just huge when it had come to trying to find that buck. So why don't you take everybody kind of through the paces that you went through with him?
Yeah. So, oh gosh, this is gonna be so long. Okay. So, this particular piece that I was hunting, I had hunted, this was my 3rd year hunting it. And I, coming from East Coast, the deer quality is so much different. And so when I went to Missouri, my expectations for seeing big deer was just so high, just naturally, because that's what you see on TV, So I had a lot of opportunities to shoot bucks, but I just passed because, it's just your standard 2-year-old 8-point. That's just what I saw a lot of. So I'm okay, I know there's got to be big deer in here. So, I passed and I passed. Well, the third year I was like, okay, I need to be more aggressive. I need to like, grind and like actually figure these deer out because I want to shoot a buck. So I got really aggressive right off the bat. And the first day that I went in, I pretty much was like scouting / hunting. And I was on this field edge and had these bucks come out, and I was like, okay, so now I see where they're coming from. So then I moved in the next day, got a little closer, and kind of just worked my way in. And then it ended up not working out because I had a camera malfunction, which, the self-filming struggle is just a whole other level of hard. So anyway, that didn't work out. So I was like, okay, I need to re-strategize. Well, there is a creek bottom on this other side of the property. So I was like, okay, creek bottoms are always good. So I checked that out, and sure enough, there was another group of bucks over there. So literally went in, scouted, next day came in, hung a stand, and then I just let it go. And then I came back the next day after that, and I had 3 bucks come in right underneath me. They were just feeding around. And one of them was like, okay, this is one I'm willing to shoot. So they're feeding around, whatever. And I went to draw back. And like I said, that tree that I was in was just not a good tree. And I had a limb get stuck in my cam. So I was mid draw and my cam wouldn't rotate anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I had to like let down, turn sideways, and then draw, and then turn back to the deer. And so the whole situation was just like, it wasn't good. And I mean, it was uncomfortable, but I felt comfortable with the shot itself. But I mean, unfortunately, I just don't think I was level, and I hit him back in the guts. And so I was like so bummed out. Like as soon as it hit, I knew, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. Like this was so perfect. And then it just went to like not perfect so fast. So I was just like bummed out, and I'm like, okay, well, I got down, I checked the arrow just for any blood, and I didn't have a speck of blood. So I was like, all right, well, this isn't good. So I backed out. I let him go overnight because that was in the evening. Came back at like 7 o'clock the next morning, and I just started grid searching. And, I mean, obviously deer do what deer do. Like there's no rhyme or reason sometimes, but I had thought, okay, so he ran the way that he came from. So to me, that was his bedding. And so I was really looking hard in the bedding and like anything like right around there. And I think I mapped it out, and it was like a total of like 3 miles that I had grid searched, like back and forth, like walking. And I was just getting so frustrated because I mean, I didn't have anything to go off of except a few like tracks that he had kicked up, but after that, like I just could not tell which way he went. And so obviously I was like sharing that on Instagram, like, okay guys, this is what I'm doing, whatever. And then I had people tell me like, hey, you should look into getting a tracking dog. So I had never even thought about that. So I was like, okay, well, I don't even know how to find one. So somebody sent me a website, and I called the closest one up, and I was like, hey, I have a deer that I'm looking for. I can't find him. I don't have any blood. So he brings his dog out, and even with the dog, I think we tracked another like 5 hours, just like grid searching back and forth and letting the dog just like kind of do its thing. And eventually we realized that he cut out into like this open CRP field, which to me, like, to me, they should want to run and be like hidden, but he ran out in this open field, and I would have never looked out there. But luckily the dog like ended up finding his track and got out there and found the deer. But I mean, it was literally like a whole entire day process. I think it was like evening till we even found him the next day. So, I mean, the meat wasn't any good because it was like, I think 80 to 90 degrees that day. I mean, it was so hot, and it really was like unfortunate in that sense, but like I was so happy to find him. Like I was not giving up because I hunted there 3 years. And I finally decided to shoot a buck. So I was determined to find him. So yeah, that's the story.
That's incredible though. It's cause you throughout the whole entire thing, like just not giving up. I mean, like I think a lot of people would have just been like, oh, there's no sign, there's no blood, there's no tracks. What was I going to do? And you just went, I honestly believe you went completely above and beyond just to make the story come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like, I knew he was dead. I mean, gut shots, like, I think there's a lot of like misconceptions with different types of shots. Like people don't always know, okay, what's lethal and what isn't. And a gut shot will kill a deer. It's just going to take a long time. So I let him go overnight and I was like, okay, I know he's at least dead or very close to dead by, it was like 12, 13 hours at that point. And then honestly, till we even found him, it was almost 24 hours. So I was like, I know he's dead. I just don't know where. And so like that, I couldn't like let myself just like walk away knowing that. So if I would have, maybe like had a shot that I knew for a fact wasn't a lethal shot, I might have given up a little bit sooner. But, like something like that, I was like so determined. So I'm glad I like stuck with it though, because, we ended up finding him. So.
Yeah. And it's an absolute beautiful buck.
Well, thank you. I'm so proud of him. Like when he stepped out, like my heart was going. I mean, he's no giant by any means, but I was like, okay, this is what I'm willing to shoot. So let's do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, any deer that you take is obviously a trophy. And I know that like you going into it and going to Missouri and stuff and then hunting from Pennsylvania is totally different ball game. It's like just to adapt and then to have those deer come out and you think you're going to have a 180 come out on you and then to take the deer that you did. I mean, that's a trophy in itself for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more than happy with him. And like I said, like I finally pulled the trigger after 3 years. I was not willing to just like let him go and not find him. So. And
you did your own Euro on him, didn't you?
I did. The bleaching like didn't turn out as good as I had hoped. Like it's not like completely white, but at this point I think it looks fine. But yeah, I mean, that was like my first time doing that, so it's okay. But that was back in September that I had shot him, so it was still super hot, obviously. And because I didn't find him right away, there were like bugs that were like laying eggs and flies and stuff on him. So I just like let them lay eggs on it, and then I ended up burying the head, and I think I left it in the ground for like a month. And then dug it up and it was pretty much cleaned off. Like I had a little bit of skin that I had to pick off, but other than that, like it was already clean. So I didn't even have to like boil it or, do anything crazy. So that was kind of like cool to just try out.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what did you use to whiten it?
So I used like a peroxide and I think it's like some sort of like hair bleach, like for human hair, like bleach. Yeah. Like it's like something 40 something.
Yeah, it's the PFS
yeah.
40. Yeah, it's from like Sally's Beauty Supply or something.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that normally works really well. Like if you take it and you bag it and then, so the key to it, and this is a tip and I normally
giving away your trade secrets, Trey.
Yeah. You got to be careful with this. No, so if you take the cream and then they make a, like a powdered, bleach that you mix into it and you mix the two of them and then you take it and you put it on it and then you cover it with like a Walmart bag, like a plastic bag, and then you set it out in the sun because it's heat activated. Like the crazy women with the curlers, yes. and they take and they put the heat thing over the top.
I love
of their
that
head.
Explanation. The crazy women with the curlers,
and they put them, with the tinfoil, and they take it and they put the thing on their head. Well, it's heat activated, so a lot of people don't understand it, but they'll put it on there and then they'll put it in their basement. Well, the basement's the coldest part, so you have to put it out in the heat to make it really activate, and then it'll really eat up. The peroxide will eat on the bone and make it a lot whiter. So.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. Maybe that's why mine didn't like get quite as white as I thought it was going to. Yeah. So maybe I'll have to like retry that.
I mean, it's always worth a try, but I mean that has its own unique, now it's your first. It was your first Missouri buck, and it was your first Euro, so it's kind of like one of those things that means the most, Oh
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, go ahead.
No, did you kill a buck? Didn't you kill a buck in Pennsylvania too? Before?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Like, honestly, I haven't really, since I've been in Missouri, I haven't hunted PA a whole lot. I get to come home for the late season, but that's just like a handful of days that I get to hunt. And by then it's hit or miss.
Right.
But I haven't shot a buck in PA in quite a few years, just mostly because I just don't have the time to really dedicate to it. But yeah, I missed a buck 2 years ago, I think it was. My dad and I go to this place we call the Island. It's It's literally an island on the river, and there's just a bunch of guys out there. And honestly, it's like the best time ever because it's like late archery, muzzleloader. So it's like flintlock season, and, you know, there's just a bunch of guys out there that shooting at deer, and deer go running by, and like you honestly just like have to forget how to really hunt because you just have to be ready to shoot. So I had a buck come running by, and I just like misjudged the yardage, and I shot right under him. But aside from that, I have not had a deer in PA in quite a while.
PA is a whole different world of hunting, though. I think a lot of people don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like the PA is like one of those states that like everybody, they drive deer. I mean, it's like everybody, I mean, it's like a national holiday. Like opening day of deer season. And yeah. So it's like, it's totally different out there than obviously you're starting to see it now, like being in the Midwest more, and coming from Pennsylvania, and how different it is, out here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just, you know, the style is just so different, because growing up, I never knew a single person that archery hunted. Like it was like rifle season for 2 weeks. That was deer season. So, I mean, it was kind of one of those things like we went out and you just had to be ready to shoot because guys were driving deer or whatever. Like you didn't actually really hunt deer. So coming out here, which I did archery hunt, and like I had a crossbow for a long time, growing up, but even that, like that was like a whole learning process for me. I was like, okay, I have to learn how to deer hunt and archery hunt. So this is totally new. So I guess the style is just so much different. And obviously I mostly bow hunt now. So, I mean, you know, I try to be strategic with how I do things and, you know, try to be a little bit smarter about it, I guess, instead of just being like ready to shoot a deer. But when I do go home, it's kind of like the same way. Like late season is like, you just have to be ready to shoot. So it's just like, it's cool to see like the differences, but it is way different. So
did you grow up in a family that was from hunting? Like what got you into it? Like, where did you start?
Yeah. I mean, my dad is like a huge deer hunter. Like he's obsessed with it. So my parents growing up used to work different shifts. Like my dad would be night shift. So naturally during the day I was with him, and he was going hunting whether I was there or not. So I always went with, and I kind of just grew into it and, you know, just going with him, and I always enjoyed it. And I think I shot my first deer when I was 12 and kind of was just hooked ever since. And obviously now I'm super diehard dedicated to it. But yeah, that's pretty much where my start was. And my family in general, they're all hunters. Like my cousin has farmland that he farms, and, you know, the whole family gets to hunt it and stuff. So that's kind of what I grew up hunting. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Cause you know, a lot of, and I was going to ask you is like being a girl growing up in a hunting family, like, was it different for you? Like, you know,
yeah.
And yes. I guess where I'm trying to go with that is that like when I was growing up, like it was an all guy sport or whatever. It was very sexist of a sport. Like, you know, girls didn't go to the gun clubs. Girls weren't part of the hunting aspect of it. Like, so like, how was it different for you growing up and being a girl and being so hardcore into the hunting world?
I mean, so like my direct family, like they thought it was like normal just because I was always a part of it. But I mean, like there were girls at school that hunted, but when I say hunted, it was they went and they sat in their dad's box blind and waited for a buck to walk out, and they shot it in like opening day, and that was the only day of the year that they hunted. So like knowledge base, I didn't know anyone who was a girl outside of my family that like hunted. Like I didn't have any friends that did it. I didn't know anyone. And it's kind of funny because I used to have like an old YouTube channel, like way back in the day. I think I was in middle school when I started it. And even on there, I didn't know a single girl who hunted or had a channel like that did anything like that or had any interest in it. So it was like very different. I guess more on the friend side of things. Like I obviously had girlfriends, but like I was always one of the guys because I just like to hunt and like be outdoors as opposed to like doing girly things. So yeah, it was definitely different. But I mean, I really like I didn't see it any different because that's just what I was used to, you know? So it's different. I guess it's more different now. Like it's weird now because there are more girls that are into it. So it's like if I do come across a girl that like talks hunting, I'm like, whoa, like is this real life? Like this is weird, you know?
Yeah.
So you're almost
so
weirded
weird.
out like the guys are.
Yeah, for real. Because I'm just used to being the only girl, so it's weird.
Yeah.
And
So
I guess. Go ahead. Steve.
go ahead. I was just going to ask. So, with that transition and kind of in this modern era, what's it like? What's the pressure of being a successful female outdoorsman per se? Because it seems like every female we talk to runs into a lot of, we'll say negativity, some hatred, some, oh, look at you, you're an insta huntress, whatever. You've done a really good job working around that, portraying the real world, a normal, natural person out in the woods. What's it like from your perspective?
Well, I mean, I understand the stigma because, I mean, yes, there are girls who hunt and ones who actually do enjoy it and are in it for what I would consider the right reasons. But I would say the majority of female influencers are not in it for the right reasons. And I'll let you determine who that is. But
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it is pretty obvious. And so, I mean, whatever, you know, you do your thing, whatever. But honestly, like, it's not hard for me because, like, I don't have to fake it. Like, I am genuinely out here hunting. I'm genuinely out here doing things. And, you know, when I run my social media stuff, it's like, it's not like a photo shoot every day. It's like, okay, guys, like, I'm actually, you know, crawling after this turkey to try to kill it because turkey season's been so dang tough this year. Like, I'm actually doing that. So it's like, I don't have to like fake it. Like, I'm just taking everyone along on my journey, what I'm doing. And I try to be like just very authentic with it and show that I genuinely do enjoy this. And I'm not trying to do it for attention. I'm just sharing my experiences. And I try to really advocate youth and other women to get into hunting because, you know, like I said, growing up, I didn't know a single girl that did it. So it's cool to like have girls that reach out to me and say, oh, you know, you're such an inspiration and, you know, whatever. And that's awesome. Like, to me, to have that ability to, you know, I guess, empower other people and just be that outlet for them to realize that they can do it too. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. So in our situation, like both of our wives, my wife has been hunting for a few years and she's getting in, and that's really what she looks up to is the media end of women hunting. And it's sometimes hard to find the real people versus the people who are going out on a canned situation. Look at me. Everything's B-roll except for me holding the animal. So
right.
It's refreshing to have people like you out there who are doing it for real, going through the struggle, seeing what it's like for the everyday real person who's doing it themselves. And just want to tell you thank you. And I appreciate it because it helps drive, say, my wife and friends' wives and sisters to go out and do that. They see that it's not a bad thing. You know, it's normal.
Yeah.
And there are people that do it and they do it right.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is thanks for being a good example.
Well, you're welcome, I guess. I mean, you know, it's right now I feel like there's a lot less, you know, people out, like women out there who are legitimate, but I think it is slowly changing. And I think the more that people do see the ones who are legit, they realize, okay, that's actually what I want to be like, and that's what I want to do. And I think it will progress. It's just going to kind of be a slow, steady process. But I already see a little bit of a change and a shift. So I think, I mean, I don't know if I contribute to that, but if I can at least influence one person, like, I've done my job. Like, that makes me happy. So regardless, I'm going to be out here doing it, and I'm going to film it and whatever. So whoever wants to follow my stuff, cool. If not, then, you know, you do you kind of thing.
That's awesome. Well said.
Yeah.
It's cool to have, just it's a weird thing for me, honestly, and I think I've said this when we had podcasted before, is that like it's totally different to talk to girls that are hardcore badass chicks that can hunt, because there's not many of them out there. Like you trying to have a conversation with some of the girls or ladies that are hunters, and they don't know anything about it. Like they just like, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, my boyfriend brings me out hunting and I shot this.
Yeah.
But they don't understand like what it's actually like. And it's like, with talking to you, like you do it on your own. There's nobody else out there to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just out there doing it, and you've been successful, showing that. And I think that curve of lady hunters is coming out, because it's okay that you don't need to be on the insta huntress side of it. That you actually can be a badass chick and actually kill things, and people do like it. You don't have to be flashy.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, like, I'm just naturally, I'm just a very independent person. And obviously, growing up with it, it's just, hunting was just what I did. It was part of me, and I enjoy it, and I'm very passionate about it. And I think a lot of women are not as aggressive in their personalities to just be willing to go out and just do it. And I think that might be the reason why a lot of them are just kind of slowly working into it, because it's like they don't have that role model per se that, they can see and kind of follow, because I feel like women are more followers when it comes to something like this, because it is like a man's world in a sense. So there are not as many of us who are as aggressive and just go-getters and willing to just go out and do it. So I think that might be a lot of it too. And, so the easy end to that is to just show some skin and say, oh, I like to hunt, but the legitimate ones are like more aggressive and like, okay, I'm actually out here hunting. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I feel like it does. And I think that's why it's kind of been like a slow process, but it is coming around, and I'm excited about that. So
definitely.
It's cool to see.
It's kind of funny is because a couple of people, we have one supporter that listens to us regularly, and she is one of those go-getters, badasses, and literally won't hunt with the boys. Will not hunt with the boys. Like totally driven. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Like was having a tough turkey season, and was like, we were like, come with us. Like you can come hunt with us. We'll bring you out, whatever. She's like, nope, won't do it. And she did it on her own and went and shot two jakes on her own. And that was it. I mean, like in goes out duck hunting in her own boat by herself. Just like doesn't care about what everybody else is doing. Doesn't care if it's successful or not, but just so willing and drive oriented to just make it happen. And I think that the couple of girls that are hunters, that are like real hunters, they're very, like you're saying, just self-driven and like totally like embarking in it. You know what I'm saying? And just like, it's so cool to see, because like I was saying before, growing up as a kid and going to like there was a lot of hunting clubs that we would be part of. And like there was ladies' night. So that was the only night that the ladies could come to the gun club. They weren't allowed in the gun club during hunting days. It was a men's only thing. So like I grew up in this bubble of that women don't hunt. They're not allowed to hunt. It's a man's sport, So to see it now, and it's like, listen, you old men, these girls are 3 times more badass than you will ever be. They've killed way more animals, and they're way more driven than you ever will be. Get your ass up and do something, So it's like, it's so cool to see it. And I think that the industry needs that, because if there wasn't women like you out there, then my thing is that the kids won't follow it. You know what I'm saying? Because women are so much more apt to have not only more women to get involved, but children to get involved, because they're more to empower the kids also to be part of it. And they say when the women of the household are hunters, so are the children. So that's important. It really is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like back in the day, like hunting was just so much more accepted. And so it didn't really matter if women didn't hunt, because the kids were going to most likely do it anyway. But obviously, like, times are just so much different. And, hunting is just so scrutinized all the time. And there's just less and less people doing it. So I feel like it is a good thing to have more women, not only for other women, but like you said, the youth too, because if less men are doing it, then, well, who the heck else is going to do it, So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, women now have their own clothing line, their own hunting clothing lines. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Because that's another thing that entices more women to get involved in the sport.
Yeah, it's so I'm so happy that it's happening, because for the longest time I used to have to wear like youth extra large, like boys stuff, because I'm not a very big person, so I never fit any like dude's camo. So like I'm excited about that.
And that's kind of why I brought it up, because it was kind of one of those things like how did you deal with that? Because a lot of women are smaller, and I mean, how do they fit into it? And I mean, let's be honest, most of the hunting population are over 250 pounds, 6 foot tall. So right. I mean, for women to fit in their hunting clothes is not very easy,
I mean, honestly, like growing up, it was just I bought whatever fit, and so it could have been like 10 different camo patterns that I was wearing, and honestly, I still do that sometimes. But I mean, it was just whatever fit, and my dad didn't want to spend a ton of money on me just, because I would grow and stuff. So it was like we would go to Walmart and buy like a long sleeve t-shirt and a hoodie and, whatever coveralls would fit me. And that's kind of what it was. And I honestly still have some of that stuff. But like, I'm not a very big person, so it was difficult. So it is like cool to have like women's lines and stuff now that stuff actually fits and like looks decent and is practical. Because like I said,
was going to say practical is the word.
I literally wore like youth larges and extra larges because like my size is just like I never fit adult clothing. So it's funny.
It's kind of funny that you say that with the mismatched camo, because one of my mentors growing up always said to me, he goes, I'd rather see kids wearing mismatched camo killing does than I would someone wearing Sitka gear killing 10-point bucks. And it's kind of one of those things that's like, it's so believable though,
for sure.
Because I mean, and that's the other thing where the industry is kind of curved, is that it's all about those brands and all about those, you know what I'm saying? And I think with the new coming in with the, the lady hunters and all that stuff, it's definitely changing the world of the hunting industry.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely interesting because, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it's great that we have all these options and stuff and different brands and whatever. But I mean, there is definitely a stigma behind it, especially camo. It's like, okay, my dad used to wear blue jeans and like a red or orange flannel. Like that's what he would wear. And he would shoot way more deer than you guys ever will. Like
exactly.
Like camo is not for the deer. It's like your own personal like peace of mind. Like, oh, I blend in. But like at the end of the day, like you have to be a good hunter to kill deer. It's not necessarily about like the brand that you're wearing or the brand you're shooting or whatever. Because I mean, let's be honest, like anything on the market these days is going to kill a deer. Like it just is. It's, technology is so advanced that it's up to personal preference anymore.
Yeah. It's what do you like? What do you think looks good? Because at the end of the day, it's not the deer's eyes you're fooling. It's, are you able to fool the deer?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, you heard it first right here. Kaitlyn said it. You got to be a good hunter to kill deer. It's not the camo.
It's not the camo. Oh, it's
shocker.
Crazy. Yeah. I laugh so hard with like, and it's no knock. I mean, anybody, like a lot of the high end brands are great. They're very, they are. It's not about just the camo pattern, but it's about the use. I mean, obviously, like Sitka gear or any of the other stuff. I mean, the warmth, the waterproofing, it's great for that. But it's funny watching some of these people put it on, like it's going to change their hunting world. Like, oh, I'm going to shoot the biggest buck of my life because I'm wearing this camo. Well, let me tell you something right now. 9 times out of 10, you have to cover your Sitka gear with orange. So it really doesn't mean shit. I mean, let's be honest with you.
Right.
So it's just funny to me, the guys that, that get into that realm, and it's kind of like, the women hunters and, you have the Sitka hunters and this, that. It's just like, why can't we all just blend together and just have a good time and enjoy it? Why does it have to be like that?
Well, it's always great because if you're going out, you're sitting in a spot and there isn't a deer within a mile of you, and there never was and there won't be, you're not going to see a deer because of your camo.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you can't pound that into people's heads. They go, I get this gear that I heard was awesome. It's the best. I'm going to go out into this random piece and set up, and I'm going to kill deer. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to find the deer regardless of what you're using.
Yep, exactly. It is comical because it's like, you see all these people that are such gearheads about different things, and I literally, like I said, I'm still wearing like my mixed match camo half the time, and it's like I do just fine. So you don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you said, like the comfort and the warmth and the versatility and stuff like that. That is convenient. It's very nice, but it's not always necessary. So yeah, you gotta actually know how to hunt.
Well said.
So when you started to become like an influencer and so on and so forth, was it a little bit intimidating for you, like going into some of the shows and doing kind of some of the influencing stuff that you do?
Oh gosh, I mean, as far as like social media, no. I kind of just, like I said, I share what I'm up to. Like, it's kind of a day-to-day, or whatever's going on, that's what I'm sharing. But as far as doing trade shows, I would say my first year at ATA, which I think that was 3 years ago now, that was a little intimidating just because I didn't know what to expect. And obviously that's like the top of like, all the influencers and all the TV personalities and just big names are there. And so I think that was a little intimidating, just not knowing what to expect and not knowing what's going to be there, who's going to be there kind of thing. But as far as like I guess if you want to call me an influencer side of things, I mean, no, I don't really see it any different. Like I just run my stuff and I show what I'm doing. And I mean, I don't know, it's kind of just like a second nature thing. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy filming. I enjoy photography. So I just happen to do it and I happen to share it. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if that answers your question.
Yeah. No. I didn't
really know.
Like, no. I like going into some of the trade shows and stuff and progressively moving yourself along. Sometimes it can be kind of, even for us, I mean, it can be very, it'd be tough to take in sometimes, and meeting everybody and you're kind of going in it alone. And going to these shows and so on and so forth. So it's kind of, you being like us, like we roll deep, like there'll be 4 or 5 of us. You kind of, you kind of just.
Yeah, I kind of just do it.
Right.
I don't know. I think that's just like, again, like with my personality, I'm just somebody that like, if I'm passionate about something, then I'm kind of all in with it. And I really never had like a set expectation when I went to trade shows. Like I just went as an experience. And I still kind of feel that way. Like I wasn't going to like, oh, let's see if I can pick up 10 sponsors or, let's see if I can do this or meet this person. Like it just like I kind of showed up and experienced it, and I did meet people. And I mean, it can be intimidating, but at the end of the day, they're just, they're people like us, like everyone else. Some people feel that they're more special than others, but I mean, you kind of learn who you like and who you get along with and who is on the same path as you. And you kind of just stick yourself with those people. And I mean, that's even how I met you, like, you know, so it's cool to to network like that and meet people that are, you know, so similar minded.
For sure.
So I wouldn't say I'm intimidated, I guess. Like that, I'm not really.
Well, see, and
that doesn't bother me.
I'm really glad you put it the way you did, because that's one thing that's been very apparent to me, as well, as when you get into those shows and get around these people that you've seen for years and these people behind these products, you almost have that sense that they're, you know, hey, I should go over and be, you know, almost starstruck. And after you talk to them, you realize they're just everyday normal people doing the same thing as we are. And I'm going to say this very bluntly, for the most part, most of them are great people. I mean, you have those ones out there that, you know, you walk away scratching your head. We've all met them. But for the most part, everybody in there, I mean, you may be working directly against them in the market, but you're still going to sit down, shake hands, and go have a beer afterwards.
Right.
I mean, it's just real people.
It's crazy because you go, like you said, Kaitlyn, like you go in there, you're not going there looking for a sponsor. You're not going there to meet this person. You're literally going there to hang out with like-minded people that you've met throughout throughout the years or the year. You know, like you're like, oh, who's going to ATA? And then everyone meets up, hangs out, drinks a beer, and we all tell stories.
Let's face it, in our case, it's let's see if we can get through it without forgetting the night.
Okay. I mean, you're not wrong.
We don't talk about that, Steven. We don't talk about that.
That's why I'm not bringing up specifics.
I guess we all have our own remembrances of who does what at what shows, but
nobody did anything. We all showed up and left.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Exactly.
But it's just
there may be a little bit of drinking involved, but that's part of the social side.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the only way we can deal with people, right? No, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. No, but it's just so much fun, and honestly, like I'm glad that you put it the way that you did. Like you went in there and just that's how a lot of people should go there, to enjoy it and to see it and meet everybody, and that everybody we all bleed red, and we're all there for the same reasons, and we're there to, you know, we like to hang out with like-minded people because there's very few of us that out there now. So it's kind of cool to be at those shows and doing those things, to be honest.
For sure.
Yeah. And even with like my, you know, YouTube and stuff like that, like it's so wild to me because like I said, when I go to shows, I don't necessarily have a goal with like whatever happens. I'm not going there to like pick up sponsors or whatever. And so like, it's cool just to go and experience it. And like for, you know, when I make my videos and stuff, I'm just putting it out there just to put it out there. I don't have a goal. So just to even be where I am is like so cool to me. And like, it's kind of surreal because it's like, wow, I never expected this. Like I wasn't putting my stuff out there to just become somebody. I just, you know, enjoy doing it. And obviously other people enjoy it too. So it's cool to just like network and communicate and talk to people and just meet people from all over that just, they're so passionate like I am. So like, that's just awesome to me.
And you did it because of passion and the love for it. You didn't do it for love or for likes. You did it because
you're damn right.
And that's a whole nother. Actually, funny thing is, so a friend of mine sends me a Snapchat the other day and says, "Oh, look at this show for love or likes." And I go, "Bro, listen. If I find out that you watch that show, I will literally disown you as a friend." Because he's like, why? It's got to be pretty cool. And I'm like, bro, it's not. Okay. Yeah. And I will disown you as a friend. Because those people are doing it for the wrong reason. And it goes back to the intra hunters and huntresses, just doing it for all the wrong reasons. It's so stupid. And it's so crazy to me. Like, that somebody could honestly do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's disgusting to me. Like, we all do it for, you know, it pisses us off because honestly, like, you know, like you, Kaitlyn, and us, like we do things because we love it, because of the passion, because of our drive for it. And these people go and get 3,000 times more likes and shares because who they are. And it's like, do you really understand the struggles that we go through every day? We don't get to hunt in some of the states that you guys do, or get the pictures, go to these ranches. We like struggle. We put in the time and the hard effort to get where we are, you know, and it's like, fuck, I got 20 likes. Like, that's awesome, you know?
Right. I mean, yeah. And like, I'm not going to lie. I would say it is a little easier for me just because I am a girl. You know, but like at the end of the day, I really don't care about that. Like that doesn't mean anything to me. And I've had people like say, hey, you know, you should come hunt on my 7,000 acres that I have in the middle of, you know, freaking Kentucky or something. And I'm just like, you know, like I appreciate that you offer that. But at the end of the day, like I hunt public, not necessarily because I have to. I mean, I'm sure I could get permission, you know, or a lease or something. But like I really do enjoy just going out, experiencing it, learning it, and just figuring mostly deer, figuring them out, and just that whole entire experience of it is what is important to me. And like that it just makes it so much better when it all comes together, because I'm like, okay, I did work for this, and you know, I struggled through it, but I did get it done, or you know, whatever. And so it's like that part of it is just like what I love. Like, it's not even just like, oh, I happen to shoot a deer. Like, yeah, that's awesome. But if you didn't work for it, you just don't appreciate it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And when you look at that euro on the wall, you know, you earned it. That's yours. Yeah. You did all the hard work and all the grind to kill that deer and any other deer. But you look at it, and if I was to say I was to go and pay a guided hunt or whatever, and not able to hang my own stands or cameras or whatever, and not put in the work, it wouldn't be the same to look at that deer. I don't care if it was 200 inches. Right. It just wouldn't mean the same, you know?
And I mean, I get it. Like, you know, I'm not going to knock anyone, you know, for going through an outfitter or whatever. I've done it, you know, and everything has a purpose. Like, you know, some guys literally don't have the time to dedicate to public land or going out and figuring out a whole piece throughout the season. Like, you know, so I get that. And it does suck, but it's like me personally, like, I would rather work for it. Like, that's just how I enjoy doing it. And so like public land is just like so ideal for me, you know?
Absolutely. So as you know, as your journeys progress here, what are some of like your goals for the 2020 season as they unfold for you? Like, do you have any big plans of like a big like deer tour or?
Well, honestly, I was so busy turkey hunting, I have not had time to like sit down and like plan my fall out. I had no time, but I mean, honestly, I would say my biggest goal is just trying to figure out Kansas, but I might do like a mini deer tour. But I don't want to break my time up too much, because I feel like the less time I have to hunt a particular spot, because I'm trying to figure it out like on my own. If I like shorten my time too much, then I just am way like unsuccessful, and I don't want to be like that. So I might just hunt like a handful of states and just really kind of focus and grind out on those. You know, and then maybe just try some new spots next year. I kind of usually just like rotate. Like, I'll pick a couple states each year and try to focus on them, and then, you know, go from there. So I don't necessarily have like a specific plan, but I would say Kansas is like my big focus this year.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. You cheated by moving to Kansas, okay? You went from Pennsylvania down to Kansas. I mean, how do you do that? That's like moving out of a box into a Taj Mahal. I mean, come on. How did you do that? No. I'm glad that you're chasing your dreams.
I purposely, like, I was like, okay, it just made sense because I was working in Kansas City. So I'm like, all right, well, it's either Kansas or Missouri side because it's right on the line. So I was like, I might as well take advantage of the Kansas residents because, you know, why not? Since it's a draw state, because then I'll just be able to hunt both sides. So it just made sense.
Nothing wrong with that. I was just busting on you for it, but I think it's a good idea.
He's just jealous.
Yeah, that's all it is. I'm stuck here in Shitville, East Coast, so.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, you name it.
Yeah. So for Facebook and YouTube, it's just Kaitlyn Maus Outdoors. And then my Instagram is always complicated. It's K8LINM_34. But I'm sure if you type in Kaitlyn Maus, you'll find it. So
yeah.
I should change it. Honestly, I've been thinking about just changing it, but I'm like, I feel like I'm too far in, like I'm invested. People know who I am by that. So like, I don't know if it's a good idea to change it, but I don't know.
You said this the last time that we podcasted. That was over a year ago.
I do think about it. I'm like, man, I really should change it because it's like, I don't know what I was thinking, but now
It's
I'm
your
like,
stamp.
Just stick to your roots.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
so
working.
For now, that's what
don't change it.
So is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Oh gosh. That's a very
blunt question. We'll switch it up. Is there anything that any women trying to get into the outdoors should know? Does that narrow it all? Oh, dang it. I was trying to make it easier.
Steven, you're so smart.
Honestly, I guess just for anyone trying to get into hunting or, you know, outdoors type things, just don't be afraid to ask for help or, you know, seek out someone just to get started, because I know a lot of people don't have that outlet like I had with my dad. And so even if you're like afraid or you're like kind of thinking about it, just do it. Like there's nothing better than just doing it and diving head first, because I promise you it will be awesome. Like there's just nothing better than being outside and just like taking it all in and just enjoying nature. So, I mean, even if you're just curious and need to talk to me, I'm always available. Like I try to answer everyone that messages me and try to have that like open door and, you know, communication kind of thing. So I guess just like dive in and just do it if you're thinking about it.
Well said.
I love it.
Yeah.
So our last and final question is, what drives you outdoors?
Oh, deer. I love deer. Gosh, I mean, pretty much honestly, everything that we just talked about. Like, I really just have a passion for it. It's in my blood, and I will continue to do it, whether Instagram goes away tomorrow or YouTube goes away tomorrow. Like, I just love it. So
that's it's as real as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's pretty black and white.
I love it. Well, Kaitlyn, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule now that we know you're especially out trying to recoup from your turkey tour.
Yeah.
But it was great having you on. It was a good time. Again, thank you for being that right kind of role model for women wanting to get into the industry and just to get outdoors. There's not enough of it. So keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. And
thank you.
and for everyone out there, take this on, take your kids out, take your family out. If you've got women in the family who are intimidated, use Kaitlyn as an example. It is possible. It is okay. It's normal. Go do it. Get them out there, teach them, coach them. It's going to be the future of the outdoors. So take advantage of it. And we want to thank you guys, especially today, for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.